Breaking down the Clemson Tigers position by position to get you set for spring practice right here at the Voice of College Football. And we got the guy to do it, Jason Priester, allclemsontigers.com. Jason, what's going on today?
Doing a little dog sitting today, man. Doing a little dog sitting. How about you?
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I think I'd rather be dog sitting than dealing with what I'm dealing with. But hey, it's all good. It's fine. No issues there.
I would absolutely rather be dog sitting.
Well, Will Shipley's going to be showing off for NFL scouts. So he's had a fine career at Clemson, and now he's going to move on to the NFL, and we wish him the best. Of course, before we get started on the guys that are coming back, what do you think they really miss when you can kind of characterize what Will Shipley brought to this program?
For me, Shipley kind of epitomizes what sheer determination looks like. You know, I don't know that anybody plays more determined than Will Shipley does. And he's so fiery. I think sometimes maybe a little too fiery. Maybe you can say he's a little too determined at times because it kind of, bleeds over. He gets so fired up about things it kind of bleeds over onto the field. But to me, that's what I'll always remember Will Shipley for. His sheer determination, man. I'm having a hard time putting into words here.
Well, we've all seen him play, so I think you don't have to put it into words because we've seen it out there on the field where he's just slugged it off, and he just has a motor that doesn't quit.
Yeah, there you go. His motor just never quits. It's nonstop running. He gave you a little bit of everything. I'd say about the only thing Shipley was lacking was kind of that home run threat. He didn't have that extra gear once he got into the second level to run away from people. But other than that, it's really hard to find any knocks on him. Maybe he fumbled a time or two too many at certain points, but that could. Some of those might have been on the quarterback more so than Shipley, but they're going to miss him, man. I know a lot of people are excited about seeing Phil Maffa as the guy, no more 1A and 1B and two guys sharing that role. But, it's hard to replace a guy like Shipley.
There's so many synthetic fields and nice manicured fields now. You don't see as much mud and dirt on these guys' uniforms. Well, when I think Will Shipley, I think about those games when there's a little bit of rain, there's grass and mud all over his jersey, and it's one of those kind of games where you don't have all that room and that field manicured to be able to cut exactly, but you just kind of give it to him over and over and over, and he just wears it down the defense in the fourth quarter and gets 5, gets 6, gets 3, gets 8. And he seemed to just get better like that, kind of like Phil Maffa did against Notre Dame. They gave it to him 36 times in that game, and he had a remarkable game. Now, he did have a late fumble that almost put him in a bad spot, but besides that, I know your guy's Phil Maffa, and he was impressive down the stretch.
Count me as one of those people that are excited to see Phil Maffa get the opportunity to be the guy. You know me, I've been high on him for a very long time. I think he is, a complete back. He gives you a little bit of everything. But the only thing he doesn't have is kind of like Shipley doesn't have that extra gear to pull away from guys in the open field. But he's got great field vision, man. If there's a crease there, he's going to find it, and he's going to pick up positive yardage even when there's not a lot of room. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. His pass protection's gotten better. Still room to improve there, but it's gotten better the more he's been on the field. And he's going to be the guy this year. I don't know if we're going to see a lot of those 30-plus carry games like we did against Notre Dame, but I would fully expect, 15, 20 carry games pretty consistently this year.
Dominic Thomas moves on to Georgia State. Keith Adams had a handful of carries last year. How do you foresee the battle for not just a second running back position, but a number 3 guy? Because you got to think you need at least 3 guys that you can rely on to some extent.
Yeah, this is where it's going to get interesting, is how it shakes out behind Phil Maffa. You have Jay Haynes, who redshirted last year, was hurt part of the year last year. He's a smaller, shiftier back with a lot of speed, so he'd be a good change of pace guy. Jarvis Green, who was from right down the road in Dutch Fork, also redshirted last year. But you also have incoming freshman David Ajamame, who I think was severely underrated by some of the recruiting services. Man, he was killing it there in Georgia as a senior during his high school season before he got hurt, putting up just monster numbers, had some 300-yard games and doing it against legit competition. And this is a guy that's kind of got a little bit, got it all too. He runs like a 10.9 into 100. So he's got the top end speed. He's got great field vision. He's a really good receiver out of the backfield. So to me, that this is where it's going to get interesting is, how that depth chart shakes out behind Maffa and who ends up at second, third on the depth chart. Because you also have Keith Adams, who's been around for a couple years now. We haven't seen a whole lot of him. He's a back more in the mold of Maffa, bigger, stronger, doesn't have that, top end speed that maybe a Haynes does or an Ajamame does, but he's definitely a between the tackles runner who could really help you in short yardage or red zone situations.
We got Jason Priester here from allclemsontigers.com. Check out his work, not just on football, but you got baseball and basketball as well. Please subscribe here at the Voice of College Football. Give us a like as well if you enjoy the content. And would you expect, based on Klubnik's progress, Riley and what he likes to do, maybe Dabo's influence on that, all of it, for the run-pass ratio to look pretty much what the same as what it's been, or that they put maybe a little bit more on Klubnik?
You would like to see him put a little bit more on Klubnik, because that would be a sign that he's of some of that growth and then putting more trust in him. So that's where you would like to see it head. If we're seeing more of the same of last year, I think you're going to have problems, because I think Garrett Riley was really limited in what he could do last year due to the poor offensive line play, banged up wide receivers, a quarterback who was still trying to grow into that role as a starter. So I would fully expect, or the hope would be anyways, that they would start to put, that he experiences enough growth over the spring and then into the fall to where they start putting some more trust in him and they start trying to push the ball down the field. Because that is one thing that this offense didn't do last year, was try to push the ball down the field. And the deeper we got into the season, the less they tried to pick up those chunk plays in the passing game. They just had no faith in it. And I think it was a combination of things: no faith in the pass protection, no faith in some of those receivers, no faith in the quarterback to stick with the play long enough to let it develop. So, yeah, that would be the hope anyways, that you put more on him this year and you start seeing them try to push the ball down the field a little bit more than they have in recent years.
We're going to run through all the positions with Jason, offense and defense and special teams. But in the meantime, allclemsontigers.com. Join Jason right there. All right, sir. Appreciate you being here as always.
Yes, sir. My pleasure. Thanks, Mark.